Well, hello. It looks like we are live. Hi there. I'm Cher Cunningham from Mindful Entrepreneur. I'm in the midst of a challenge, a 7-day challenge with a group on Facebook, and I'm going live to my Facebook page, that Facebook group, as well as YouTube today to talk a little bit about motivation. So, the challenge itself is about being confident and bold. Because in your natural state, when there's no garbage or lies that you're living under, that is who you are and that is how you are. Anything else is just getting in the way of your truth. Now, we're doing a lot of work around aligning yourself to your true strengths. Stop trying to be somebody else. Don't be motivated to somebody else's strengths, somebody else's dreams, somebody else's personality. That gets you out of alignment. It's not sustainable. And you can start telling yourself, oh, I must be lazy. I must be weak. I must be broken. But what's really happening is you're trying to live somebody else's life. That's just not going to work for you. In fact, I talked about the magic that you really need isn't finding a potion to turn you into someone else. It's finding who you really are, what it is that fires you up. So Simon Sinek talks about start with why. And that is very important. Knowing your why is the strength of passion. And in fact, we have a bunch of different strengths. We're really talking about character strengths this week. But your skills and your experience and your talents certainly are your strengths. Your resources certainly are strengths. And your passion is another strength that we can look at to wrap around your character strengths. In order to have a sense of yourself doing what you are not necessarily meant to do. I have some objections to the idea that your business is your purpose or your meaning in life. I think it's a place that you should live your values, and it can have an amazing impact and be a portion of your meaning in life. But I really object to the idea that it is your meaning in life. A business is just an entity separate from you. So getting motivated in that business is understanding why it is part of what you want to do and how you want to show up. So that chunking up, when we talk about the language of language, the meta of language, thinking about what we say and how we're saying it is important so that we can become objective about it and choose to deliberately show up flexible and powerful. Often when I meet an entrepreneur, they are struggling with what should I do? What will people want? What services, what packages, what? That is at your lowest level in the hierarchy of ideas. When we want to make something more powerful, we chunk up. We chunk up from what to how, and from how to why. Before you begin doing the what's, which are the actionable pieces, right? We're talking about taking bold action. You need to know why you are taking those actions. So starting with why. Why do you want to run this business? Now, you could have chosen any business. So if you say to make money, that is not the answer. Sometimes my clients are afraid that underneath it all, they're just greedy and looking for money. Always, I find a heart-driven purpose underneath why they chose this business, why they chose business in itself. So sometimes the why is because they want to have a business so that they have the freedom to be with their children, with their spouses, with their family and friends. Hey, Steph. Sometimes they've chosen business because they just want to be able to do something that they create themselves. Sometimes they were given the opportunity to be self-employed. We read that as they were fired. And sometimes the business itself is because they've come through something, right? So they've been through a mess and they've turned it into their message. Thanks, Steph. So when you've come through something and you've found an answer, sometimes you feel morally obligated to share that answer with others. And certainly that is the situation with me. In my past life, I was a web designer. I could certainly be a web designer now. I could help people create websites to share their message. The challenge with that is in that previous business, I had structured it entirely wrong. It was eating me alive and it was killing me literally. By the time I closed that business, I had burnt out so bad that all I could hear in my head was, I'm dying. I'm dying. I thought perhaps I had early onset of Alzheimer's because I had lost my memory, my short-term memory. I was in such a state of anxiety, and I had no idea about anxiety back then, that I was running in only reptilian brain mode, survival mode. It was so bad. So when I came out of that mess, I found a great psychiatrist, actually, and a couple of great mentors that got me on track. The psychiatrist prescribed a couple of pills, a good night's sleep, and integrated stress management therapy, which included mindfulness, which is why I am the mindful entrepreneur. Mindfulness in your business will save your life and make it filled with joy. So I feel obligated to share that with people. Now, on the continuum of the unconscious mind, we start with mindfulness and we go all the way through to deep hypnosis. And we can also go in another direction and go into flow. So playing with consciousness is one of the things I've realized didn't just heal the burnout. It actually healed the depression I'd been going through for 30 years. And it healed my inability. You know, how as I was raised as a child, I had an interesting childhood. We can chat about that. If you went through a terrible childhood, let's talk. Because I was raised by a narcissistic mom. Yeah, it will save your life and it will make your life joyful, right? Coming out of healed and then keeping going further. There are other levels to get through, which include happiness, satisfaction, confidence, poise, and joy. And I'll tell you, I'd never had those. I thought that my business was going to give me that sense of value, that sense of worth. And it didn't. It actually, when it was going well, it was amazing. I was making good money. When clients were happy with me, I was happy. When clients weren't visibly, verbally telling me I was happy, then I was just meh. What has been referred to as languishing by Adam Grant. If you haven't tapped into Adam Grant's podcast yet, you should check it out. He's all about thinking, and I just love listening to the man. Languishing is just that state of meh. I'm here. I'm not flourishing. And I'd never made that an expectation for my life before. Now it is. It is a solid expectation that every day I notice that I am flourishing. I am intentional about it. And so when I started this business as a business hypnotist, that's why. I could have just gone out and done websites. There's great money in creating websites. It did not inspire me. Yeah, if you need some playfulness in your life, Steph is actually a great place to start from there. The toolbox of turning on those parts of your brain so that you are creative and collaborative, you have trust and play and joy and connection. Those are all the things that I provide with business hypnosis. And it motivates the hell out of me. Now, here's the thing. If I stayed in that why, I could float around there with rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and never take action. So as I sit at why, it's not a very motivating place. It's just really exciting. It feels really good. When I chunk down to how, I'm starting to get some more power to that, some more purpose to that. How can I best share these things with individuals? It did not end up being as a web designer. I thought it would be as a communications coach for a while, getting people their voice, helping them express what they cared about and what they were going to say. And actually, when I started my business, I was really about the coaching, the communications, the confidence to say the thing that needed to be said. And of course, you can guess where that came from. And it matters. It makes a difference. I did some great work coaching on communication and helped some wonderful people move up in their careers and up in their lives and do better in business. But what I really found was being able to take away somebody's phobia, being able to clear out the doubt and the lies that you're telling yourself, that mattered more to me. And it was something that they were not finding elsewhere. To be able to deliberately become joyful in your life and have it as a business deduction, I think that is an amazing gig, right? It's all tax deductible. And I know that shouldn't be a big deal, but it's so fun. It's just so quirky and playful that you get to be healthy, wealthy, and joyful, and as a business deduction. So that inspires me. The client who called me up last week, and she is a powerful woman. She is a high performer. She's amazing. Everybody knows it except her. She's been in her career for 30 years. She has driven amazing fundraising. She has helped business succeed. She inspires other leaders. And her daily experience is walking through sludge, pushing, trying to make herself want to love herself. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. And it's not necessary. So in June, we'd like to get face-to-face, but if we can't get face-to-face, well, online. We are going to clear that out. I'm excited about that. That's my how. And then the what that I do becomes easy, right? It becomes logical. What do I need to do to get that result for that client? And that what is powered up by the how, powered up by the why. And it has boundaries that allow me to carry it out with the people I really want to work with. Because honestly, I love my clients. Literally, I love on them. I hold them in a container of loving their brilliance and their beauty until they see it themselves and it is a natural part of them. It's how I do this, how I deliver the what that keeps me going, that keeps me wanting to do this. So when you feel unmotivated in the what level, it's about chunking up to your how. Could you do this in a way that's more inspiring? And of course, all week we're talking about confident and bold, starting from your strengths and aligning what you do through those strengths. That's where motivation comes from. So don't stop at why. So Simon Sinek says, start with why. He doesn't say stay there, camp out and make it your castle. You need to leave the castle, go out and see the people, go share and do and deliver and transform lives. How will you do that? And then what specifically will you do? Make sense? So we're talking about how do you get confident and bold to take action. And if you've been struggling with it, if you're like, I still look at those actions and I'm like, I don't want to. Perhaps it's time to chunk back up to how. Or if you have not done the why, I'm glad you're loving it, Steph. I'm so excited to have you here. Delivering this is so important to me. It matters to me that people get back to confident and bold so they're not second guessing themselves. So what else can get in the way of that motivation? First of all, right, that maybe it's not the right what, but if it is, if you've gone through all the why exercises, and you can find those anywhere, and I'd be happy to do them with you. It's really about getting into that, why this business, and why is that important to you? And the answer to that, why is that important to you? And the answer to that, why is that important to you, your client, the world? And be willing to recognize that you can step into a space where you're changing the world, whether it's for just your clients or a bigger industry-wide change that you want to bring in. Be willing to step into that position in that why before you step into the how. The how is going to take care of itself if you align it to your strengths, if you are aligned to strengths. So some things get in the way, and I'm going to talk about the matrix of motivation. I'm going to see if I can put this back on my screen, add to the stream. So motivation comes from yourself. What gets in the way of motivation is predictable. So here we go. I'm going to see if my slideshow is going to cooperate with me on StreamYard today. I think so. So you'll see that depending on where you sit in the matrix, if you are stuck, if you're going, I keep thinking I'm going to move forward, I keep saying I'm going to move forward, and I don't move forward, there are two things I can tell you are in your way. You are scattered. You're not sure what it is specifically that you're going to do. You know that you should be doing stuff and you're shooting all over yourself, but you haven't got a business model. You don't have your vision in place. You don't know what 3 years from now is going to look like. So you're just like, I'm going to throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. You're doing some frantic marketing when you are doing some things here, if you do it at all. Usually it's just busy work that you're pretending is marketing. Busy work that isn't moving the needle. That's how you know you're stuck. And you're scared. You haven't maybe cleared out that state of imposter syndrome. I have a great program for imposter syndrome. There are a baker's dozen, really, of things that create imposter syndrome, which means that we can flip the coin on those and undo all of them so that imposter syndrome just disappears. It is part of the path that you take from starting up to mastery. It's just part of the path. It's very neutral. So if you're fearful, if you're doubting yourself, if you're doubting your own strength and wisdom and your value, that's not okay. You are so valuable. If you're looking at a spot that doesn't look like value, you're looking in the wrong spot. Get out of there. Let's get back into where your value is. Now, if you are fearful and purposeful, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the thing. You're sitting in survival mode and you are in anxiety. This is what leads to that burnout that I was talking about that I went through. I knew I was like, just keep doing, work harder, throw more time, throw more money, throw more effort at it. Keep doing it. This is also a place of just tragic independence. I have to fix this thing. I have to prove I'm worthy. I have to do this so I don't fail. I have to do this so I don't go broke. Right? That's not a place of motivation. And burnout. That sense of, I have no control over this. I'm not making any difference. I'm just showing up, putting in hours. You start getting very numb at this point because you start numbing out the anxiety and it numbs out everything. You can't just numb one emotion. When you numb one, you numb happiness and play and joy, creativity, trust, hope. That's not okay. So, saying that a lot, it's not okay to not feel motivated. Motivation is a sense of vibrancy and zest flowing through your body and through your day. If you are scattered and passionate, your whole life is about that busy work we talked about in Stuck. You're sitting on Facebook, liking and posting and hoping, but with no calls to action, with no point to it. You're filing things and refiling things. You're making lists and never checking things off of them. You're inspired and you're moving in this direction and you're floating. You don't have a compass point. You don't have that vision and the strategy and the business model just guiding you. You need a GPS to get out of the busy work so that you can get those tiny tasks that you know will automatically move you to your success. Steph, we've all done that silly busy workplace. And when you have, these are triggers, right? When you know you're stuck, when you know you're in busy work, when you know you're in survival mode, now we know what to do and why we're there, right? If you're doing busy work, you're not tapping into your vision. You haven't taken your vision, turned it into goals, and backward engineered it into those tiny tasks that will move the needle. The other thing that can happen, and of course we're not touching on this during our challenge, is if you've got a lot of limiting beliefs about yourself, they can get in the way as well, right? We talk about clearing out those lies and crap that you tell yourself, that your vision isn't for you and that you have, even simple ones, right? You have to work hard to make money. That's a limiting belief. You're an entrepreneur. Your job is to work visionary. Your job is to work as a leader. Your job is to inspire and create. Your job is not to see how you can fill an 8 or 9 or 10-hour day. And if you don't have it filled, just sit around going on Facebook pretending you're marketing, going on Twitter and trying to say something that gets people's attention. That's just busy work. And that's where this comes from. So passionate, fabulous. Scattered, not so much. We're moving out of some of that horrible place in the bottom of our quadrant here. But let's move into flow. When you are in the flow in your business, you have combined your passion and your purpose. You've got the why and the motivation in place. You've got the strategy, right? You're not scattered anymore. You've got a strategy. Now, tactical is good if it's tied to strategy and if your strategy is tied to vision. So if you hear people saying, don't go tactical, well, if you've done all the groundwork, then action is tactics. This is a good thing. This is where you want to be. Getting into the flow of your business also involves knowing that you're a business owner, treating yourself like a business owner, doing the paradigm shifts that allow you to see that you are not an employee, that you're not the technician in the business, that you can delegate, that you can stand in your genius zone, delivering from there more and more of the time. That your money comes, your profits come from creating value, not necessarily doing the work yourself. It's an interesting shift. And Steph knows all about shifts. Steph's from Holy Shift. Love that name. Because sometimes you hit almost always, right? Those big paradigm shifts, you're like, holy, that's amazing. It opens up your world, opens up your map of the world and lets you change your reality. So motivation is a natural way of being when you are standing in your strengths, moving towards something that matters to you. So you want to make sure that it is defined for you. I'm going to now pop this out of the screen. There we go. And talk just a little bit more about other things that will get in the way of your motivation, because it's important to really understand that there are natural things that will also make you unmotivated. So we've worked on a few of them. We're uncomfortable with the activity. So those tiny tasks that we said, I don't like it. It makes me feel bored. It makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel worried. It doesn't seem important enough. It makes me feel like I'm spinning my wheels. No one likes taking out the trash. No one likes changing the kitty litter. No one likes doing filing. If you don't like sales conversations or networking events, you're going to procrastinate doing them. So this is the simplest and most straightforward type of procrastination. And that's what we've been dealing with the change how you feel about. Because how you feel about something determines how you will behave around it. So it's also the most common. I just don't like doing it. I feel uncomfortable doing it. Okay, well, let's start liking it and feeling comfortable with it because it's tied to your vision. Right? You got the vision, you know where you're heading, you know this is going to take you there. Now, if you're doing a lot of marketing that you just feel like you are out of whack, that you are forcing yourself to do something that feels like torture over and over again, then you actually need to talk to James Lamb from Look Ahead Marketing. James Lamb takes you through a process of saying, how do I like to market? What do I do really well? And making that choice, right? You don't have to be stuck. And it's only when you're down in that survival mode that you're like, I have to do this or I'll fail. Another way that we get our motivation zapped is if we're afraid of the outcome. So if you're writing a book and you've been putting it off, or you're working on creating a course, and it's like, this is taking forever. I don't know why. What if you're uncomfortable not with the activity itself? You love to write. You're excited about creating the course. You know that your content is pretty darn awesome. But what about when you're done the book? What happens? Do you have to get it published? Do you need to find a publisher? Are you going to be doing a book tour? Are you going to be promoting? Will it be criticized or rejected? Will you finish it and then have to start another one? That's not a bad thing. But for many people, that's a good reason. It's often a hidden reason too. One of the things that we do during our intake is listen for the hidden reasons underneath, the deeper structure of what you're saying to what your unconscious mind is believing, the story you're telling yourself to have things happen. Now, what if you're not clear about how to do what you're doing? This is one that when my procrastination hits, this is usually it. This is my biggie, where I sit down and I want to create something. Maybe I'm writing a custom hypnosis script for a client, and I'm putting it off. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Usually it's because I have not taken the time to figure out what does success look like for them for this hypnosis. What will they be able to do or not do when we're done the hypnosis? What are their words? What's their vision of it? What's going to motivate them? Because when I have all the details, I love it. If I'm missing any clarity, that will get in my way. And now this is the time to notice, contact the client and say, you know what, I've been having some troubles getting started on your project. I'm missing a few details. Can we just go through this for another 20 minutes? Get the details. Because if you wait a week, you still don't have the details. And a week of procrastinating is going to make you feel like you need to fake it. And that will make you feel so totally out of alignment. That phone call a week later to say, you know what, I don't have all the details is a much, much harder one to make. So think about why you're procrastinating. Or maybe you're missing a tool. Maybe a piece of software would let you do this in 2 hours instead of 200 hours. That is not that uncommon. Or maybe you don't have the resources. Maybe you should subcontract this out to somebody who could do it in 2 hours instead of your 200 hours. You need to look at those strategic challenges and deal with those and say, if this was just a logistical challenge, do I know what the next step is? Can I break this down into tasks that take 15 minutes each? Am I clear on what my first step is? And if you're going to go and sit down at your desk and get ready to work on a project and you don't know the first step, you're just not going to start. 20 seconds of struggle will get in the way of you starting. So if you know, and this is why we want to end the day, writing down what the next day's first task is so that you are moving and motivated into it. If you don't know that first task, it's hard. This is one of the reasons people don't spend time on social media promoting and marketing, because they sit down and they look at social media and they're like, what was I going to say? Why? How is that going to help? When you have a content calendar for social media, you sit down, pull it up and go, oh, today I am talking about motivation. Excellent. Let's get to work. This is fun. Do you know how to do each step? Or are there steps in what you're about to do that you should delegate, that you should YouTube, research, figure out if somebody else has done it, find a mentor, find a coach who can help you through it? Do you have all the tools to do it? And once you have those questions answered, then the strategic challenges are dealt with and you will find that wall is taken out of the way. And really reframe any emotional resistance to it. So if you're feeling motivated, you're fine. If you're feeling procrastination, say to yourself, I often do this out loud because then I know my unconscious mind is paying attention. When I think of doing this task, this goal, this job, when I'm about to go do, how do I feel? Do I feel excited, anticipatory? Do I feel a wave of dread and resistance or anxious or something else? And just really sit with that. Then you can use that same chart that we used yesterday. If I feel this way, what am I telling myself? What is the story I'm telling myself to feel this way? And really journal this out. Get your whole body and your unconscious mind involved in journaling this out. So the first question is, what am I feeling about it? What would I have to be telling myself to feel this way? And then you can actually analyze that thought. Is that true? If you think it is true, then go, what would I have to believe about myself, the world, this client, this project for that to be true? And what would be a better belief? If it's not true, will you consciously go, well, that's not even true. You're not done yet. What is true? What would be a better way to think about it? And sometimes it's as simple as, oh, this is going to be so hard. This is going to take so long. This is going to be exhausting. None of those are true in and of themselves. So anytime you're thinking that, throw that out the window. Things are as hard and as tiring as we think they will be. So what would be a thought that would give you a better feeling? And then the last thing to do is to say, well, is there a better time of day that I should be doing this, right? If you are doing something creative, then what are your most creative times of day? If you're doing something that is deep thinking work, when is your brain on fire? When are you just lit up and able to jump in and figure things out? So motivation comes from your vision. Anything not motivation that's getting in the way is a logistical challenge that we can deal with and clear. So I hope that was helpful as you keep applying that confident and bold and looking on purpose for things that are not working, looking on purpose for things that are getting in the way, because we have the tools to clear them out. I will see you again tomorrow if I don't pop back on here again this afternoon. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday.